What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we do always start this show by being transparent. And yesterday, I had a terrible day. I went 0-3. So NFL, I talked about the late game, the side and total, didn't get there, and then I did bet that baseball game early and didn't get there either. So have to be better today. And we got some MLB playoffs now. MLB playoffs is where playoffs in all sports I love, but MLB playoffs have been really good to me past 2 years. I think I've picked up 20 units each year, hitting that 61.5%, 48 and 30. So I'm gonna try to keep that going here today. Started off right, and I got none other than it's a guy who I continue to learn from. But the record that I just told you, it got a lot to do with me watching him and learning from him on how to bet a lot of these MLB totals. And he's just a really good bettor and a really good guy. So I'm thankful he'll come and share some of his knowledge with us. So welcome in, my guy Nolly knows. What's good, brother?
Oh, what's going on? Yeah, man. Playoff baseball, MLB. I love talking all that. And Skee just happens to be a guy that listens to my BS, And so I need somebody to listen. My wife's fed up of hearing it. But thank you for having me on, man. It's an exciting time. And hopefully we get some winners, man.
Hey, real quick, what else I think about too? I remember you be talking about like it's just stuff I don't be hearing too much from everybody else, like the shadows. And I'm watching the game, I'm like, this is what you talking about right there. And I'm like, I just pick up little stuff like that. So
Yeah,
guy is
little
very
tidbits.
knowledgeable.
The shadows. If guys know, when I see shadows, I typically will bet the no run that inning. It's a very difficult task, especially if the shadows are split. If you got sun, shadow, then sun, oh my God. You know what I mean? The other day with the Phillies, that's what we did. I ended up losing that game eventually, but I thought I was on the right side. It happens, right? But the shadows, man, they help out. Everything that can sway it just a little bit because these books have crazy advantages. So if they can sway a little bit my way, I try.
And it's also good watching you betting them games and watching the games with you because you going crazy. I know you putting the bets in. I seen you. I've been right with you, experiencing the whole thing. So I can't wait to do it again here. And we'll cap these games in front of everybody. So we got 4 on the slate. We'll get started. Shout out to everybody in the chat. My boy DJ Big Boss says, "What up, though?" And I gotta give him a shout out
Yeah.
because he put together a really, really good event out here in Las Vegas. He cooked, he barbecued, everything was fire. Just a lot of good. I mean, DJ Big Boss is just a really good person, and he just does a lot for everybody. He cares about everybody. So I appreciate you, DJ Big Boss, and looking forward to doing that again. And I'll see you when I come that way. So shout out to my guy. Let's get to it. First game up, we got Tigers and Astros, and this one goes off in less than an hour, probably like 45 minutes. We have Scooble versus Valdez, and the line hasn't really moved too much. I'll say this, and I should probably pull it up, but Scooble, he's been damn good this year. He's still not a guy that I know I have too much trust in. Now, I know my guy, he's probably gonna tell me otherwise, but it's just I'll say he hasn't been to the playoffs, so we don't know what we're gonna get there, and he hasn't been that good on the road. Valdez, he's another guy that I personally just don't care for. But this is why I got the expert on because I know he's told me about Valdez before. So Noli, what you doing with Astros and Tigers?
I mean, yeah, interesting stuff you talk about. Hard to say don't trust Google. He only led in all 3 categories in the MLB. ERA, you know what I mean? Strikeouts, wins, just something, nothing crazy. But you do make a good point. Home road splits. You look at what he's done at home. He's allowed a 171 batting average against, 199 ERA. That's Comerica Park. It's notoriously known for a pitcher's ball club. It's got deep alleys. Put it this way, going into last year, they moved the fence in because that's how bad it's been at Comerica with the lack of offense over there. So it shows you at home, he's got a different advantage. On the road, it's been a little bit different. 2.34 batting average against. That's almost damn near league average. 240 is league average right now, and that's what he's allowing on the road. Almost a whole point higher on the road, 2.86 and he's going into Minute Maid Park. He's going here against the Houston Astros. It's going to be a tough ask. This crowd is going to be ruckus, and going against a team that's been crazy experience here in the playoffs. They've in the playoffs every single year. And the one concern that I look at is the way that they attacked him the last time out. He went 6 innings last time against these Astros, gave up 4 runs, all of them coming in that 6th inning. So I went back and I watched that 6th inning. And you look, 7 batters came to the plate that inning. All but one swung at the very first pitch of the at-bat, and that was against Bregman with a fastball that was up at his eyeballs. So he was going to swing if it was a strike. So what's that tell me? They're going to try to attack Skubal early and often. They don't want to get behind the count because he's that filthy. So I'm looking at his strikeout prop. It's sitting there about 5.5, 6.5. To me, I say no way. He got 2 last time against these Houston Astros. And guess what? Their approach worked. So why wouldn't they attack it the same way? I see them going after him the same exact way, going after him early. So I say be careful with those strikeout props. With Skubal. This is a huge game. He's never been in this environment, but this guy is very passionate. I expect him to pitch pretty well. I just expect the bats from Houston to just have a little more experience and be able to claw and fight their way into this game. So I would lean towards Houston's bats a little bit, but nothing crazy, right? Framber Valdez, you make a good point. Framber Valdez is a bit of a head case, in my opinion. This is a guy that always has his psychologist on the phone. He talks to daily, bro. It's daily. Even when I don't start, I want to talk to him. And this is a problem, bro. So you know what? Going into this game, he's been talking to him like crazy. He does have issues mentally, but at the end of the day, bro, that's what baseball is. Yogi Berra said it best. This game is 90% physical and 90% physical, 90% mental and 50% physical, and the rest you just make it up. Yeah, he's way over. I get it, but that's Yogi for you. That's a Yogiism, you know. But it's a mental game, and they have to figure out how to figure it out. In my opinion, here, the first time in the postseason, this is a great story for the Tigers. They finished 31-13. They went on a hell of a run to end the year, but they did face the A's a couple of times, the White Sox a couple of times. They faced the Rockies, and then their division, which, you know, Minnesota just gave that thing away. Minnesota did not want to be in the playoffs. So as much as I'm going to give them credit, they did not face these Houston Astros, and the Houston Astros are notoriously known for hitting lefties. And so, I'm leaning towards the Astros. I think Framber Valdez ends up putting it together. Does pretty good here in this spot because, quite frankly, he's been here before. And I think those bats over there for the Tigers are going to be a little bit tighter. Every single bullpen piece for these Houston Astros has been involved in big leverage situations such as this. The stage is not too big for them. Hard not to like the Houston.
Man, I don't got to tell you how I feel about the Astros, but it's money involved. I just really didn't want to put my money on them, but I can understand why we look that way.
But see, that's the issue, though. Who do I hate more? The Astros or the guy that allowed them to do it, who's on the other side? Right? Who do I hate more, right? AJ Hinch coming back to the Houston Astros, and who I feel should have running that whole responsibility, right? If you're in control, you're at fault, whether you knew about it or not, and he knew about it, right? But hey, he took full responsibility. He made some good comments. Hey, I'm not proud of what happened here. I took it on the chin, and I'm fully responsible for what happened. That's what his words. And now he's bringing a whole different ball club here. I think it's good to see for Detroit. I just think this is a tough ask in game one, and honestly for the series. You know, you look at the quote. Let me pull it up here. A quote from AJ Hinch. He says, "Our plan, to give you a brief preview, is Tariq Skubal on Tuesday and pitching chaos the rest of the way." They don't even know who's. They're just going to be mixing and matching guys. Okay, he's going to have good stuff against this guy, right? But it's an experiment, and I'm not willing to bet an experiment. You know.
Fair enough. I think I'd have to agree with you on that. So I don't know about bullpens though, but why not just focus on the starters? You know, Skubal hasn't been here before. At least Valdez has. They're at home. Well, why not just go first 5 versus full game?
Because Tariq Skubal is still that dude. Albeit there might be some signs and some cause for concern. If we look at that same game that I'm referring to, he was absolutely lights out those first 5 innings, right? And if he decided to go a little bit different route in how they're pitching, if they decide to adjust to the adjustment and they have the upper hand, hey, Trey Skubal can come in here and have a freaking crazy day. You know, I just don't expect the strikeouts to be there. And I think that's what he needs to adjust. Don't chase the strikeouts against these guys. If they're going to be swinging early, let me go to some junk early. Let me adjust, get them to ground out early or pop out early, you know? So and then that's even better for his team because that will give his team length. So for me, if I'm Tariq Skubal, you cannot look for the strikeout. You got to look for length here. But hey, runner on second, nobody out. He's going to go for that strikeout. So, you know, there's nothing you could do. But yeah, I'd say he's a little bit more susceptible here. I see the total sitting at 6.5. I haven't even touched on it because honestly, I just can't. I can't right?
Either.
These two pitchers have looked great, right? 1.52 ERA in the month of September for Skubal, 1.73 for Framber Valdez. But at the end of the day, these guys can hit. Both these teams can hit. They can put some runs together. In that span of the 31-13, they put up the most runs in baseball, the Detroit Tigers. So this is not something that I feel comfortable with, especially at a 6.5. I just can't do it.
I'm with you. I you know, as good as he's been lately, and he has been good, I just can't do it. I just don't trust him. I don't trust either one. Munoz, he disagrees. He says, give me the first 5 under. Valdez over out 17.5, and give me his K prop. And Munoz, I'm curious if you could do like a same game parlay in baseball with these, like you could do in NBA and football. Just curious, but shout out to Munoz.
Yeah, I like what I like out of that. I'd say the most is the Framber Valdez outs, and the reason for it is because he's been there before. And this is a guy where if he's going to give up 2 runs, it's not a typical team where they're going to yank him. They're going to allow him to go. This is a guy that set a record for most consecutive quality starts. That 6 innings, 3 hits. 6 innings, 3 runs or less. And so that's what you need here is 6 innings. And so this is a guy, especially with their coach, this is Joe Espada on the bench. You know, this guy's been around the Astros for a long time. He was AJ Hinch's bench coach. So this guy's been here throughout Valdez's whole career. Maybe we get a glimpse of what Framber Valdez was in 22 in the postseason when he was absolutely lights out. And maybe he is. Maybe his therapist is doing a good job this year.
We shall see. Let's move it over to the next game. We got a few more games to talk about. And this next one I'm pretty interested in. I can't lie. We have Royals and Orioles. Looks like Reagans and Corbin Burns. The last 5 starts for Corbin Burns, he's looked pretty damn good. I see 6 innings pitched, only giving up 1 run. And you look at the opposite side, Reagan's last 5 starts, 6 innings pitched, only giving up 1.6. So he's been good. And I think last time he played Baltimore, he gave up like 1 hit through 6 1/3. So I'll be interested to see how he is today. Am I wrong about that, Nolly? You muted.
Oh yeah, second time he was absolutely torched. First time, that was the first time he went around it.
I must have missed the second time. Yeah, so second time they got him. All right.
Yeah, second time they got him.
Well, do you think they could get him again here in this one? Because I definitely trust Burns. Can we trust Reagans?
Okay, see that Cole Reagans is a guy that people I think sleep on. This is a very highly touted guy, 1st round pick. He was supposed to be that dude for the Texas Rangers. But what ended up happening, he ended up having Tommy John, then tried to come back and had Tommy John again. And so people gave up on him. He was sent over here in the Aroldis Chapman trade, which I think they're happy with. They got a ring out of it with that closer. But here, Cole Reagans came in and they said, well, you know what? It was just a failed attempt at the first surgery. It wasn't that he got re-injured. It was they messed up the first one. So they feel like his injury, he can overcome it. And he started to show a lot of good command in AAA, and his velocity was starting to tick up. If we look at Cole Reagans and what he's done this year, if you're talking about Skubal, you need to be talking about Cole Reagans in the same exact sentence. Because of the fact, as simple as that, this guy's a stud. You talking about the strikeout leader was Tariq Skubal. He was only 4 or 5 ahead of Cole Reagans. And if we look at strikeout per 9, Cole Reagans is the leader in K per 9. And also in whiff rate, he's tied with Tariq Skubal at 30%. So if you're talking about Tariq Skubal, you're talking about Cole Ragans. And honestly, the presence of what I see out of Cole Ragans, I see just a lot more maturity. Perez, Salvi talks about it. He talks about how poised he is. When you hear him talk, you feel like you're talking to a veteran. That's Salvador Perez, the guy that's catching him. He talks about it. You hear some of these interviews, Cole Ragans is mature above his years. And that's what I like to see here in this situation. Yeah, he did get lit up against Baltimore, went 1 2/3, 9 hits, 7 earned runs the second time around. But that's also at home. That's not here in this ballpark, where in KC, things seem to fly a little bit. To me personally, I look at what he's done more recently. September, you mentioned it, 1.08 ERA. And that's what I like. That's more so what I'm focused in. How is he doing now? Because they've had to win here down the stretch. And not just that, he's had to pitch well because this team just quite frankly hasn't hit in the month of September. They're hitting 203 in the month of September, 302 slugging. They only got 74 runs. That accounts for 3 runs per game. Over the last 11 games, they've only scored 20 runs. 1.8 runs per game. This offense has gone completely ice cold. The Royals clinched a playoff berth and they were shut out 3-0. And they're over there popping champagne. Yeah, that's got to hit a little different, right? Getting whooped on and then you're celebrating. But the lack of hitting here from these Royals is going to set up for Burns to have a dominant day.
There we go.
Burns in August, 7.36 ERA. But a lot of that was that he was trying to get too much spin on his cutter. And so everybody's like in love with spin rate right now. But certain things are going to happen when you start putting a little bit of spin on the ball. The ball is going to keep its plane, right? You don't want your cutter to stay here. You want the cutter to drop. You want it to have some action. And Burns talked about it. He goes, I put so much spin on it. It was playing like a shitty four-seamer and getting hit like a shitty four-seamer. And it worked early because guys weren't ready for it, but then they started to adjust. So you look at his first 2 starts here against Kansas City. That was before his adjustments. He went 5 2/3 both times, gave up 2 earned runs and 3 earned runs. But that's before he's made his adjustment back to this, right? Because if you don't know, Corbin Burns, he all of a sudden hit a switch and turned his career over, winning a Cy Young when he got rid of his four-seamer and went strictly to the cutter. So, look, he's getting hit in August because he was Burns of old. Now he's Burns of new, and the same guy again, 1.20 ERA here in the month of September. That's more so the things that I'm going to see and I expect to see here, especially against an offense that frankly cannot hit. I know they got a big guy, Vinny, coming back into the lineup, but he's been hurt. How well is he going to be acclimated and be ready to hit? I just don't see this team hitting. And we look at Baltimore, they've been shut out multiple times here in the month of September. They had a chance to win in the AL East and kind of gave that away. But I will say they are fully healthy finally. But I expect them to struggle here against Cole Ragans. Cole Ragans has been dominant, and I expect that dominance to continue. I think it's crazy to have the same total as the previous game, being that we have slightly better pitchers going and teams that can't hit the ball as much. But yeah, we're getting the same number as the other side. It's just absolutely not. First 5 under, 3.5, full game under. I'm doubling up on this game.
I love everything I'm hearing, Nolly. And I'm even wondering. I was already liking this game. I was liking this game before I came on. We didn't even talk about it, and I'm hearing you go on it. I like it too, but I can't help but think I need to triple up. I mean, why are we not backing Burns too? I mean, did we just back him in the first 5? 2 things stood out to me, or a couple things stood out to me that you said. One, we got to put Reagan's in the same thing as Skubal. So you know how I'm thinking already, and I trust Burns. And you said that I was worried about Burns before, but you said why he's going to be better now. So I trust that 100%. And then secondly, Royal, you said you care about what pitchers and teams have been doing lately. Royals have been, they're 4-9 their last 13. I know the last 2 weeks they're last in baseball as far as hitting the ball, not hitting the ball. And Baltimore is like top 5. So if we got the bats, we got the better pitcher. Do we trust the bullpen or what?
See, I think those numbers with Baltimore are inflated because if you look over their scores, they'll be shut out and then they put up a 9 spot. That doesn't mean they average 4.5. They average 4.5, but they didn't even score that game. right? So I've seen their bats go dead. I just don't see the offense as being as prolific as what it says. And in my opinion, in baseball, good pitching is going to be good hitting any day. And so we got a really good pitcher here today. Honestly, with a low total here today, and you've seen that 6.5 or 3.5 in the first 5 innings, that honestly makes me almost want to take a shot at Kansas City plus a half. You know, that we got a possibility of a 0-0 ball game, 1 run. You're sitting real comfortable with the Kansas City Royals in there. The only problem is what I mentioned: 20 runs over the last 11. That's hard to ignore. You know, plain and simple. And I've been talking so much trash about their hitting over the last month. Hard for me to put some money on them. You know, but if anything, I would take a shot at the Kansas City Royals first 5 plus a half, because I believe as good as Burns is, Ragland has been better. And so, that last start, he remembers that. He's gonna come out and do his thing.
Man, hey, you know, you surprised me, Nolly. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I was expecting? What you just said about Reagan's. I thought you was gonna say that about something like that about Scuba. Like he's gonna come out here and do his thing, even though he don't have experience and stuff. That's what I was expecting. That's why I thought. I told you off there. I was like, I think we might go back and forth. But I
I'm
love
a
what I'm
Scuba
hearing for this
guy.
game.
You know what I mean? I'm a Scuba guy. You know, I was anticipating his debut like more than a lot of guys. Honestly, since before him was probably the Blake Snell debut that I was anticipating the most. But it just in this situation, it's the Houston Astros, and it's tough.
I agree. Shout out to F Donahue. He gifted a membership in here. I can't see who got it, but appreciate you doing that for the channel. And let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. We got what did they used to say? You know, you an OG. He used to tell Jimmy, brisk pace, brisk pace.
Yeah. That's throwback right there.
All right, Mets and Brewers. This one is pretty simple for me as far as just how I'm thinking about the game. Severino against Peralta, and should actually just look at their last 5 starts here in front of me. So for Severino, last 5 starts, he is about 5.9 innings pitched, 2.4 runs given up. Peralta, about 5 innings pitched, 2 runs given up. But in general, you know, I should probably look it up too. But I don't trust either one of these pitchers. I want to say Severino is like 1-4 in the postseason, and I think his road ERA is like really is worse than his home ERA. So that's a guy I just really don't trust. I'm gonna double check that in a second. And Peralta, at the same time, he's not as bad as Severino in my mind, like as far as if I trust him or not. But he's still not a guy I really want to run and put my money on. So I would think, can we get runs in this game? Can the bats help us out here, Noli? Oh, can we get an over from Noli on the MLB game with these 2 pitchers? Or what are we doing with Mets and Brewers?
Yeah, interesting. I thought the Mets would be in trouble if they were going to have to go to Severino for that game 2 against the Braves, because quite frankly, it's hard to trust them. A lot of volatility when it comes to Luis Severino, a guy that was highly touted with the New York Yankees, and pretty much they gave up on him. A lot of inconsistency in the playoffs. He's pitching for his life this season. He's on a contract year, and you see some of these guys at contract years are putting up crazy numbers. Not really Severino. He's right there on pace for what he is. But a 3.91 ERA overall in the season, that's a guy that's going to give you chances to win. But here in the playoffs, I think that's more of a tough ask, because bats start gripping a little bit more. If you're going to make mistakes, they're going to make you pay. And I think that he might be a little susceptible here today going against the Milwaukee Brewers. He did face them first start of the year. He got lit up. 5 innings, 11 hits, 6 runs. Gave up a home run, 6 strikeouts, no walks. And he talked about it. He just wasn't hitting his spots. And so when he talks about his lack of control, he didn't walk anybody. So I think you were just getting hit that day, buddy. I think just flat out, I didn't go back and watch that game, but I just don't feel like I need to, because I think Severino can get hit a little bit. On the other side, Peralta, I think we got a little bit better pitcher. I think he's got a lot more swing and miss stuff. A guy that's proven to be a little bit better, but also inconsistent at times. Your month of September, numbers would indicate that 3.55 ERA, but he has had some good performances against Arizona, Philly, and Pitt, giving up 2 runs or less in that span. And he's pitched extremely well against these New York Mets. Earlier in the year, 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts to just 1 walk. Last year did almost the identical thing. 6 innings, 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 7 strikeouts to 3 walks. To me, I feel Peralta's stuff plays better enough against these New York Mets who are traveling from Atlanta, who were just clinched yesterday, and they're tired, right? So I expect their bats to be cold to start off the game. I see a clear-cut advantage in the first 5 with the Milwaukee Brewers pitching and the hitting. They've been sitting at home. They didn't have to travel. They're probably taking batting practice, watching you guys play. I like Milwaukee first 5. That's what I would lean to. Reason I wouldn't do full game. I mean, I guess I would lean there because especially Mets just had to use up a lot of their guys. They had no choice but to use up their guys in that game 1. And the Brewers do have a pretty good bullpen. So I guess I would like the Brewers full game as well, but just not knowing exactly who's going to come in and things of that nature, I'm just going to do first 5 on the Brewers.
Would you prefer to do a money line wager or a spread bet?
I do money lines. Yeah, I lay a little bit more extra juice just to have that possibility of the push.
Okay, fair enough. And I would agree with the look. I would only look towards the Brewers, and it makes sense. Like you said, the Mets are tired, et cetera, et cetera. Severino, he's not a postseason winner. I'm with you. I think that this could be a double up too, but I like the last double up a little bit more. Before we move over to the last game, can I ask you that first 5 number? Did you it was 3, right?
For which one?
For Kansas City and Baltimore. Or was it 3
that
and a
was
half?
3.5. Yeah, 3.5.
3.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. All right, moving on over to the last game on the slate, and this is honestly the least favorite game for me. We don't even know who's pitching in Atlanta, so we have King on the other side, but it is a team who had to play multiple games yesterday versus a rested Padres team at home. So is this the same situation? I know it's extremely. I mean, it's getting up there. It opened minus 145. It's up as high as minus 180. Is Padres, should we maybe take, I saw a Razor take today, Padres to win game 1 and win the series plus 100. Is that the move, or how can we view this one?
I mean, the series, I don't know. I don't feel like a team with the Atlanta Braves and the Mets as well. I won't count them out. And then that's honestly another reason why I like Milwaukee first 5. The Mets and Braves play really good ball down the stretch. If you guys know me or been around some of the chats, I predicted the Diamondbacks to not make the playoffs, and they were in firm control of that playoff spot. They weren't playing good ball, and these 2 teams are. So I just feel like you just can't count them out, especially you're going to see Max Fried. You're going to see some of their guys. And what happened yesterday is an outlier to their bullpen. They are the best pitching staff in the game. That's why they've been the most profitable under team in the game, because they can pitch. So I'm not going to give up on the Braves just like that. But this is a tough game. This is a tough series. This is probably the most exciting series to watch, probably the most competitive, I think. It's going to be a really fun one. I might be a little bit biased, but here it's a tough ask to go against King. King has been on fire for the Padres. Just recently absolutely shut down the Dodgers in a big game. They were going after the division, and here again, like I mentioned with the Mets, the Braves are flying from Atlanta all the way to San Diego to play here in this ballpark, pitcher-friendly ballpark. I think the bats are going to struggle early. You look at the team totals for them, sitting about 2.5 at some spots here. That's very telling. I think their offense is going to struggle here today. Maybe even take a shot at the Braves team total under 1.5 for the first 5, because I expect King to pitch extremely well.
My bad, I was muted, but yeah, good stuff on that one. I could definitely see it playing out just that way. I have one question for you about the game that we previously talked about. And let me get to this comment. Kyle He was joking about something else, but says he took Brewers team total over 3.5. You don't like the Brewers to score as much. Like I was thinking Brewers, I was thinking it's an over game, and I'm leaning towards the Brewers. This bet makes sense to me. Why would you prefer the Brewers instead of the team total?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you do still got to get to 4, right? I mean, I don't expect Severino to exactly get lit up. You still kind of have to go after this game. If they're in the game, they're going to go after it with their best guys. I just think the advantage, right? I just 1-0 is all I need. All I need is 1 to win.
All right,
So
fair enough.
Just feel this guy's a little better than that. That's all.
I got you.
It's not necessarily a fade.
You know what I'm saying? Michael King has allowed 3 earned runs once since July. Other than that, it's been 2 earned runs or less since July. So he's thinking that he could have a good performance here today too. Good stuff, my guy Nolly. Make sure y'all follow him at Nolly Knows on Twitter or X, whatever you call it nowadays. And Nolly, I really appreciate you taking the time to come break these games down with me. Nobody breaks down the MLB like my guy Nolly, man. So appreciate you. Is there anything you would like to promote? And I don't know if you want to give a best bet, if you want to just recap your plays or let people know what you're on.
Sure. You catch me at Nolly Knows on Twitter. Back on the scene a little bit more. Had some stuff to deal with. We're back. But going over the stuff that I'll be on today, really mainly just that Orioles game is my main focus here. First 5 under 3.5, full game under 6.5. If you can get the 7, I would prefer that. I think that's worth paying the juice. That's a pivotal number in the MLB. 7 is very, very key. Houston money line, a lean for me, not necessarily a bet. Milwaukee first 5 money line, definitely a bet for me. I'm gonna fire on that, and I'm looking at Kansas City plus a half. I might take that. The low totals like that seems to cash for us. And something that I forgot to mention, I expect the Adames to go off for the Milwaukee Brewers. I took a little shot at them at a home run plus 420. That's just a little fun bet, But that's it.
Little sprinkle.
A little sprinkle, a little fun.
Now that's good stuff. I'm definitely gonna be with you on probably. I'm gonna be with you maybe on probably on all those bets. Honestly, Noli, I was coming here with the mind of taking that Kansas City and Baltimore game the way that you broke it down, and I just wanted some way to kind of bet the Brewers. So you gave me one. Appreciate you for sharing the knowledge. You give me more confidence in putting my bet, getting to the window with my bets. So appreciate
hopefully
you,
I'll
Noli.
lean you to the right way, and hopefully I gave some information to help you guys out.
The chat is absolutely loving everything you had to say. So much appreciated, bro. And we'll I know I can't bug you too much, but you got an open invite on this show anytime.
Oh, yes. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks again for having me on, Skee. Whenever you
All right,
need.
Noli. Our guy Noli knows. Love capping with Noli, man. Love capping with Noli. Love watching the games with Noli. Now we got our guy Rob Veno in here. But yeah, I maybe one day we'll have a show with all 3 of us. But that's a guy that I came up in this industry with, and I didn't know a whole lot about baseball. I learned from watching others, and that's a guy who you can learn a lot about baseball, and he cashes tickets. So good stuff with him. How you doing, Rob Veno, today?
I'm doing good, buddy. How about yourself?
I can't complain. I know you didn't do too much MLB betting during the season, just like me. But are you getting involved in the postseason?
I did today. Yeah, I got involved first with San Diego. I played them run line Skee because the plus price, and I know again, guys in this industry, colleagues of ours, like Tony Finn, would cut my wrist off for playing a home team on the run line. But I just, you go through a doubleheader yesterday. I'm sure Noli just explained a lot of the series breakdown. But for me, it was that simple. A doubleheader yesterday, blown out, bullpen, traveled to the West Coast. Not necessarily a full champagne celebration because I don't think they all got tanked and got on the plane. But it's a difficult spot with a lineup that, let's face it, is not what it used to be. And it gets a San Diego team that's red hot. So just some of the brief reasons. I heard him in the end talking about Michael King, who's been great which is, an added bonus as well. So I played San Diego run line here. Took about $1.25.
San Diego -1.5. I'm not gonna be the one to talk you off. I think that they can definitely win by margin in this game. I mean, who even knows who we're gonna see pitching for Atlanta out there today? So can't talk you off of that bet. But the guys are waiting. Next bets, he says, now we're talking. He was ready to get to the ladies. He said, get this baseball out of here. WNBA playoffs has been good to me, I believe I'm 4-1 so far. And has WNBA playoffs been okay for you?
They have. I did fall. Oh, goodness. 1 point short there. I thought I was out of the game. I had a very small play on Aces Liberty under 163, 163 and a half. I forget what the number was. And, I thought I was dead in the water. I hardly even watch the fourth quarter, picked it up at the end, and they got to 164. Almost snuck in there, Skee. Bad fourth quarter offensively. But yeah, otherwise, WNBA playoffs have been good. Really, the last 3 weeks were good. Pretty much post-Olympic break became pretty good. So look forward to this. Hey, these are some good series, these 4 teams in these 2 series. So best of 5. Let's see what we can get if we can cash them tonight.
Yeah, let's get to it. We have 2 games here to talk about. We'll start with 6:35, 6:36. First game on the board, Vegas and New York Liberty. Opened up Liberty -4.5, currently sitting at 4. Total right back at 163.5. This series is a little bit tough for me. I'm not gonna lie. I did think that the Liberty were gonna win the series. I know that they have, a grudge in this one because they lost last year and the way that they lost, et cetera, et cetera. The way this team is put together, they're expected to win. They've been expected to win. And it looks like this year they're hungry. They've been playing their best basketball. The Aces kind of have been up and down. And I feel like the Aces, they did a little bit of tinkering with the lineup to start the second half, not starting Kia. I'm unsure if they have what it takes this year to get over the hump with this New York team, especially in New York. At home, can they win? Absolutely. But in New York, I have a hard time thinking about it. So best number you can get right now is 3.5 at Superbook. And that lets me know that some people are betting the Aces plus. They think the Aces can bounce back. But I don't know that I agree. How are you viewing this one, Veno?
Yeah, it's just as hard for me, Skee. I mean, Aces played so well defensively down the stretch. We talked about it quite a bit. Last time I was on with you, we talked about Aces defense and Becky Hammond preaching defense and the players talking about their defense. Kind of started, for me at least, it kind of started with that post game, talking about Jackie Young on Caitlin Clark the night the Aces played Indiana, and they really seemed to hang their hat on that. But the Liberty came out, and I mean, stars do what stars do, right? It was really the top 3, 4 Las Vegas and the top 3, 4 New York, and the top 3, 4 New York outscored them 68-62. So it was close, just not good enough for the Liberty. And maybe it's close, but just not good enough again on this floor. Brianna Stewart went crazy. Ionescu went crazy. They're just so evenly matched. I find it hard to try and play the Aces here, and I don't want to lay it with the Liberty either, because you're kind of in that, the situation here is unique. Obviously, Liberty wants to go 2-0 because the next 2 are in Las Vegas. Aces want to just go and get 1 because then they go back home. So you got motivation on both sides of equal value. I want to get back to the under one more time here, because last game, New York shot 50% from the floor. Las Vegas shot 43%. Shooting was really good here. In fact, I'll go to my old standby, Skee. Percentage of points scored, potential points, right? There were 338 potential points in that game. There were not a lot of shot opportunities. 67 and 60, 127 shot opportunities is not a lot. There were a lot of free throws, 38 free throws, but of the 336 that were available, these 2 teams scored almost 49% of those, almost half. And to me, that speaks to tightening up defensively. That's what it speaks to. It's a high number to score almost half of the points available in any playoff game. So I think both coaches go back to the drawing board, especially Becky Hammond. We can't be allowing 87 per game. We got to tighten that up. If they do, all I need to do is get one less bucket to win this bet. And I kind of feel like that's the way it's going to go here. I think Las Vegas probably tightens up the defensive screws a little bit, and we end up with something under 163.5. It's interesting. Shop it, because we see as high as 164 available out there, and you always want to get on that push if you can. But I do think I'll probably in some way, shape, or form end up on under.
I can see this. I can absolutely see this. I remember, and I'm trying to look it up here. I think I have it. Last year when they were playing in the playoffs, I want to say the games just started getting lower and lower scoring. In the last two, we had 160, then we had 139. Like, I get that the last one was, I don't know. Maybe I need to go back further. I don't have the game two in my sights right now. But I just think, yeah, the more the series goes on, these teams are going to battle it out defensively. So I think the under could be worth a look. And the best number, 164, I see at both Bet Online and Bookmaker. I think that's a solid play. Sober Bets asking me, says, Skee, do you still have a 5% play for tonight? Went to the site but didn't see anything. Yes, I do. And I did just go double check. It is still right there. Let's move it over to the next game. Connecticut and Minnesota. This one didn't really move either. Open 4.5. 4.5 is the consensus number right now. Total open 150.5, and it went up to 152.5. I didn't get there on this last one with the under, even though I was leaning there at 155, and it landed in the 40s. We know how good of a defensive team Connecticut is. We know sometimes they can have dry spells on offense. Minnesota Lynx are a really good defensive team too. But maybe the reason why this total is going up, is because can we really expect the Lynx to shoot 25% from three again? I mean, this is the best three-point shooting team in the league this season. I think we get a big bounce back in that category, especially with them remaining at home and the loss. Also, I think Courtney Williams and Fee, they were horrible. I forget the exact numbers. I think it's like 10 for 28 from the field combined, something like that. I think you get a much better performance from them. That makes me think that the total is going in the right direction. Even though it's prison ball, at least they added Mabry over there. I would think over 152.5. And if I'm betting aside, I think it has to be the Lynx as well. That same situation, Veno, in the NBA, we're seeing it here in the WNBA. How are you thinking about Sun and Lynx? Any agreement?
Yeah, I bet it, Skee. It was the one that I bet right off the top, and I took the Lynx. Laid 4. I mean, there was a brief period, and there still might be some. I'll look now. There's a brief period yesterday where you could get 4 or 4.5. It looks like we're 4.5 across the board right now. And I don't hate that. I still think the Lynx are the right side. And I'll just go back to basic playoff handicapping. You talk a lot on this show about logic school, and we just went to logic school on the other game. As series go on, they probably become a little more defensive minded. So maybe an under looking at first game. And I just think here, Minnesota's the cornered animal, right? You can't blow 2 at home in a best of 5 and then go back to Connecticut and think you're coming back home again. So I think Minnesota certainly in this game is the way to look. The question for me became, can they win by 5? Because this series has been so tightly contested. That was the 4th time these two teams met, when they met in game 1. And the 4th time the margin's been 5 points or less. So you're dealing with that. You're dealing with a series that's been close no matter what. You need to win by 5 here. I think you can. And I think you probably will. But I revert back to Sunday, where the Lynx walked into the 4th quarter with a lead and then scored 8 points in the 4th quarter, unlike them. I think it was 62-57 after 3. In that 4th quarter, they go 4 of 18, 22%, 0 for 5 from distance. In the analysis write-up that I did for this play, when I bet it, when I released it, I did mention what you mentioned, the 3-point shooting. It was like flip-flopped, right? Connecticut shot really well from 3 for them. They shot almost 41%, and Minnesota shot 25%. You mentioned it. Lynx were the best three-point shooting team all season long. We don't expect 25 to show up again on their home floor. So I think that gets increased. And that difference, it led to plus 12 on the scoreboard for the Sun. They made 9. The other side only made 5. And if that gets reversed, I think Minnesota wins pretty easily. Or I shouldn't say easily, but I think they cover the number. And we'll go back to it because we keep mentioning her name, and you did too. Marina Mabry's been, I mean, it's exactly what they brought her for. She goes 6 of 11 from 3 the other night, and she had 20 points to lead the team. Ty Harris didn't play. Didn't matter. Their 7-person rotation was good enough. 7-player rotation was good enough. And Mabry led the charge. I would say this. Cheryl Reeve, the head coach of Minnesota, I am sure. I mean, I'm not in that locker room and I'm not at their practice facility. But if she is not designing some sort of perimeter game plan to quiet Mabry and let anybody else on that team shoot it, go ahead, shoot it. We don't mind. But you got to do something against Mabry. I think they will. So the defensive focus probably gets amped up here on her, at least from the perimeter. And then I think from there, Minnesota, they increase. We get a little bit of back to the mean, positive regression back to the mean for them as far as their three-point shooting goes. And the motivational factor here, we do this in all playoffs, right? They call it the zigzag theory. It's been called that for a zillion years. But I think it applies here for the Minnesota side. So I'm on it, Skee. And if I can, I'm just going to lay out one more thing here. For those who really want to take a chance, and I did, I took Minnesota today to win the series at plus 160. What's really got to happen for me is it's got to go 5. Because if it goes 5, so I'm going to say Minnesota, here's my thinking. I'll lay it out for you. Minnesota wins tonight. They go back to Connecticut and split 2-2, comes back home to Minnesota. When they come back home to Minnesota, if they come back home to Minnesota, they're liable to be a 4.5 point favorite once again. At which point, Connecticut on the money line, if you just look at the money line tonight, is a 4.5 point dog. They would be plus 170, 175. And I would take Connecticut money line in game 5 and add plus 160 on one side, plus 175 on the other side. Sit back and see who wins and collect whichever side wins. So it's a little bit of a risk because it has to go 5 in order for that to happen. But you can get underdog prices with both teams in game 5 if you bet Minnesota tonight to win the series. And then in game 5, bet Connecticut money line to win the game and try and cash one that way.
Well, we're on the same page here, Rob. I also bet the Lynx to win the series. I do think they're the better team. I think they have the better talented depth. I'll just say more depth is what I'm saying for Minnesota, and they have the better coach as well. So it's just a lot that I trust for them. I think that was an uncharacteristic performance in that first game. I don't think we'll see another game like it the rest of the series. And I think that the Sun, we'll see what's up with Ty Harris, but I just, I don't know how much they're going to have in the tank for a full 5-game series. That's just kind of how I view Connecticut Sun. So I'm in agreement with you. I think Minnesota is the right side for the series. We had a question here, or 2 questions, kind of the same. And let's get to it. Let me scroll up. Mark said, thoughts on Lynx first half minus 2.5. And then Kylie also asked, halftime money line, full-time money line parlay. Do you like it, Rob Veno?
I would say this. I have nothing against first half. I mean, my logic for betting this full game has to speak to the fact that I think Minnesota is going to be after it from the opening tip. So if you're after it from the opening tip, you certainly think you can play them first half minus 2.5, right? If you want to parlay halftime, full-time together, I'm not going to talk you off of that. If you wanted to go first quarter Lynx, I wouldn't talk you off of that. I just, again, it's simplistic, Skee, but sometimes in the playoffs, it gets to be a little bit simplistic where you have a situational spot like this with the Lynx in that 0-1 at-home situation, desperate for a win, and you just play it. Knee-jerk reaction, mechanical, you play it. If you have the good enough team that's healthy, which we have, and if you see a few uncharacteristic numbers which we laid out with their 3-point shooting in game 1. So yeah, I would, totally endorse that and say if that's the way you want to play it, I'm not talking you off. Go ahead and play it that way.
Yeah, I would agree. The only thing I'll say about that first half is Lynx, they have not been the best covering at home when they're and in the first half when they're laying. At home specifically, 2-6 ATS is what the money baller is telling me since that All-Star break. So that's the only thing I'll say. Although situationally, it absolutely says first half for Minnesota. They have to come out early and throw the first punch is how I think about it. So good stuff here. And that's all. We talked a lot of MLB earlier with Nolly, a little bit with Rob Veno, talked these 2 WNBA games, and looks like that's all we have for today. So Veno, um, is there anything you would like to promote? I know is there anything you would like to promote and also maybe a best bet out of everything we talked about for the show?
We'll go with the promotion here quick, Skee. It's $5 Tuesday over at Wagertalk. So you can go over there and pick up plays for $5. Certainly, if you haven't tried anything out before and you're interested in selection packages, that's a route to go. Good test day, trial day. Go ahead for $5 and head to wagertalk.com. I know Skee's got the links in the description, so I don't have to go through those here. I'll get to the best bet real quick. We just talked about it. I mean, it was the first one I played. It was the strongest one I played. It's Minnesota. I got -4, but for purposes of the show, it's now up to 4.5. So I would say Lynx -4.5. Win this game by 5. Cash our tickets. I'll be very happy. Just think it's the right situation to get involved with a really good basketball team, and hopefully they keep Marina Mabry a little quiet, Skee, because if she goes off again, I could be in trouble in this one.
Yeah, I love Marina Mabry's game, but I think that they'll keep her in check a little bit more tonight. I think that's a pretty good best bet. For myself, I didn't put a $5 play up just because I wanted to talk the rest of these MLB games out before I actually played them. So I'll say promo wise, I do have a 5% best bet up. If you guys, are interested, it's in the WNBA. And like Rob said, the link to our profiles are in the description to the video. Best bet for the show, I'll go back to the Diamond. Playoffs, they were good to me the last 2 years, hitting 61.5%. Let's see if we can start on the right foot tonight. Best bet for the show, and some sevens popping up actually. That I'm looking at it. Sevens popping up on that game. Nolly said to try to get a 7 on. I will go with best bet Kansas City, Baltimore. I'll go first 5 under 3.5 as my best bet for the show. So, Rob, thank you for my bad for keeping you waiting, first of all. And thank you for taking the time to come talk the games out with me. I always appreciate you doing that. Everybody in the chat, appreciate you guys as well. A lot of great cappers. Appreciate you guys showing support to the show. If you like it, hit the like button. If you want to know next time we're live, hit subscribe. And just best of luck, everybody, on all your actions. So catch you guys tomorrow. Until then, peace.